How's it going, everybody? This is Dominic Minchella, joined by our co-beat writer, Zach Gilbert, back on the Kansas City Chiefs Insider Podcast as we start discussing the upcoming game for the Kansas City Chiefs up against the Detroit Lions. Now, the Detroit Lions, they have a tremendous offense that has a lot of different pieces to it, whether that be play calling that kind of throws the defense off or not. I think that is going to be a pretty big challenge for the Kansas City Chiefs, especially at home. Though I think that there's going to be a little bit of a fire lit underneath Kansas City because I'm rest assured that they do not want to fall back 2 games under the even mark for the season. And I think a big way that they could do that is having Xavier Worthy thrive in the offense. Zach, Xavier Worthy, his offense in his season thus far has been kind of up and down. He got hurt early. He returned against Baltimore. Then it kind of had some fans a little nervous going into week 5 against the Jaguars with his shoulder lingering and a little bit of an ankle issue. What do you think is the biggest thing for Xavier Worthy, or do you think that he's going to be able to be a big factor against the Detroit Lions for the Kansas City Chiefs? Because they're definitely going to need him.
Yeah, I will say a few things, Dom. First of all, to update everyone here on Friday afternoon, while we're recording this podcast, uh, Worthy has no injury designation. The injury report just came out, so he will play. Expect him to start. No limitations. Uh, I would say the other thing is that um, yes, I would expect him to be a factor. But when the Lions take him away, and keep in mind the Lions are banged up in their secondary and on defense, but if they are able to take him out of the game, uh, the positive that developed this season over the first 3 games that Worthy was not there was Tyquan Thornton. Tyquan Thornton has emerged, and even in this last game when the Jaguars took Worthy out of the game in the first half, Tyquan Thornton had 3 catches for 90 yards, and Patrick hit him deep 3 times in that first half. So uh, it's more of a pick your poison attack now the Chiefs have developed, and this is even before Rashee Rice comes back next week. So I think that's where we stand on Worthy.
Yeah, I think that I've mentioned to you several times before that it's just whenever Xavier Worthy is healthy or even in the wide receiving room and being able, if he's not like the biggest factor in the game, having him and his presence on the field really opens up a lot of different things for Patrick Mahomes and the rest of the wide receivers, especially going up against if the Chiefs are going to want to win this game, they're going to have to be really uh, attacking the defense for Detroit, like you said, since they are banged up in the secondary, because they do have a very good offense that if their Chiefs fall too far behind, Detroit might be able to, it's going to feel like they're going to pile on extra pressure. But I really do think that the atmosphere at Arrowhead is going to be able to help them out. You've been to the home games this so far this season. You've seen a victory, you've seen a defeat. What are your kind of thoughts going into the home game? Do you think that Arrowhead is going to be a big factor for this team?
Yeah, definitely. And the last game against Baltimore, we saw that come into play, the factor of the crowd when Lamar Jackson had a handful of delay of game penalties and didn't seem like he was able to hear in one series over the course of a few plays. And that was a big factor in changing momentum. So the Chiefs fans, they know that they can impact the game. And yeah, that's a really special relationship that the team has with
Yeah,
the stadium.
I honestly think that it's going to kind of be, everybody versus the Lions. They're going into a territory that Detroit is, this team is still rooting for. They've got a taste of their team winning a few games this season. And now that they did take a step back again against Jacksonville, I think that the momentum's kind of on their side and hopes. I don't know if it's necessarily a must win, but it's definitely a must be competitive. And I think,
Yeah.
go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, the Lions, they are the hottest team in the NFL. They've won 4 straight games. It seems like an eternity ago where they were getting blown out by the Green Bay Packers in the week 1 of the season, and everybody was all over them for new coordinators on offense and defense, and this team's going nowhere. And then this is how the Lions respond. So the Chiefs definitely have their work cut out for them this week.
Yeah, but I do think that there is some positives that could help benefit Kansas City take down Detroit and hand them their second loss of the season. Mine that comes to mind immediately is Patrick Mahomes. And I know it may be kind of niche to say of just having the one positive that is a player who is in charge of maneuvering the football, but I think that the veteran leadership that he now has against the Detroit team, Patrick is used to these kind of games, these big games. We saw it against Baltimore when several people took Baltimore to take down Kansas City, and that was the biggest offensive explosion of their season thus far. I think that knowing if they can get these options in Xavier Worthy, with him being healthy, as well as Tyquan Thornton being another pick your poison option, Hollywood Brown, and Patrick Mahomes has been very, very mobile with the football in his hands. Maybe it could be a detriment to the running back game other than Patrick Mahomes, but I do think that he is a very, very big, crucial piece of, if this team's going to win, it's going to have to be some Mahomes magic.
Yeah, I agree. And everybody knows that, including Patrick, that, it will need, they're planning to need a little bit of that magic. And I would say my contribution to that topic is what I wrote about this morning. It was a really interesting thing that Nick Bolton mentioned on Wednesday, and this speaks right to complementary football, the cliche that a lot of coaches and players like to throw around. But this will give you an idea of exactly what that is. When Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs score on offense, the defense, Nick Bolton said, has a specific goal. They've had all this season, but it comes really into play this week. When the Chiefs score on offense, the defense's goal is on those specific drives to give the ball back to the offense without allowing a point. And if you look at the data is a stark, stunning contrast. When the Chiefs lose the game, they're 0-3. They are 2 for 12 in allowing allowing points and not giving it back to the offense. When they win in the two games, they are 10 of 11. So that's a huge difference. So if the Chiefs can do just that, when the offense scores, the defense gives the ball back to the offense without allowing a point. And those specific drives, if they can just focus on that, I think that'll go a big way toward getting a W this week.
Yeah. And going into kind of something that could hold back the Chiefs in taking down Detroit, we were speaking before we even recorded this, so I think that it'd be good for you to kind of repeat what you said about how, when it comes to the run defense for defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo, there's a lot of, and there's an area that they specifically focus on. Do you mind repeating that?
Yeah, yeah. And Spags said that this week that really the Chiefs need to pick some part of the Lions offense to take out of the game. So it's a non-factor. And the problem with the Lions is it's the league's number one scoring offense, 34.8 points per game. And they have so many weapons. So you take away Jahmyr Gibbs, you have David Montgomery. You take away the entire running game, you have Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta. So there's so many weapons there that it's difficult to take away one part. So it'll be interesting how that plays out. And I think the thing with the rushing defense is that Steve Spagnuolo and the Chiefs have been so good, dating all the way back to the Super Bowl against Saquon Barkley. In fact, 2 games against Saquon Barkley now. Derrick Henry. Last week, Travis Etienne was the league's 3rd leading rusher. The Chiefs have taken those players completely out of the game. They haven't been very productive. But the problem has been the quarterbacks. So they've allowed Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert to get out and break contain. And they really need to be disciplined in that. And they know that. This week, hopefully, Jared Goff is not as damaging in that area.
Yeah, and I honestly think that that could be something if they just go in with the same kind of game plan of that area of trying to figure out a player or a positional group to kind of take down. We've seen over the years that since Detroit has kind of been on this increase of success, that a lot of their game has come from their running backs. And like how Zach and I were discussing, there is a if you take out one of them, they have another really, really good backup right around the corner. So, but if they're able to really mute both Jameer Gibbs and David Montgomery, Jared Goff does not move around that much. And I think that if they're able to bring up that pressure, there could be some positive in helping take down the offense. But it is going to be crucial for Kansas City's defense to take that area and take it down.
Yeah, I agree. One other thing to watch out with the Lions offense, Jared Goff may not be that mobile, but they're deadly in the play action game. And that's something that really hurt the Chiefs in week one in Brazil against the Chargers. Play action and the other offenses that the Chiefs have faced have been fairly different, but this is the most similar to the Chargers, and it'll be interesting to watch and see how the Chiefs do against the play action
Yeah.
offense.
Yeah. Well, Zach, I can just say that, I missed having you on the podcast. Both of our schedules have been so back and forth, but it's great to finally talk some Chiefs football with you. With that, folks, we're going to wrap up today's podcast, and we're going to be turning our focus on hopefully the Kansas City Chiefs getting back to an even record. But as always, be sure you follow both of us over on X for mine is at Dom Minchella. You can follow Zach over at Zach S. Gilbert. We post often throughout the games and leading into the games. You're not going to want to miss any coverage. If you also want to have another source, you can follow our main page at KC Chiefs on SI. Everything gets posted there. Everything. And I think it's going to be a really, really good, fun, entertaining week for both Chiefs Kingdom and some of Detroit Lions fans. Zach, thank you once again for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. Have a great weekend.
Yeah. All right, folks. Be kind to one another, and we'll see you soon. I'll see you tomorrow.